In the landscape of human relationships, whether in the boardrooms of New York, the suburbs of the Midwest, or the bustling tech hubs of the West Coast, conflict is the one constant. In American culture, which often prizes individualism, assertiveness, and the pursuit of personal happiness, conflict is frequently viewed with a paradoxical lens. It is both a necessary tool for advocacy and a dreaded source of stress. The prevailing narrative often categorizes conflict as a failure of compatibility or communication. However, psychological research suggests a different truth. Conflict is distinct from combat. While combat is designed to eliminate an opponent, conflict is merely the friction caused by differing perspectives, needs, or values. It is biologically and socially inevitable. The trajectory of a conflict, whether it spirals into a destructive force or evolves into an opportunity for growth, depends entirely on the psychological machinery we employ to navigate it. Part 1. The dual nature of conflict. To understand how to manage conflict, we must first dismantle the binary view of it being good or bad. Conflict is neutral energy. Its polarity is determined by how it is processed. The destructive force, the cycle of disconnection. When conflict becomes destructive, it ceases to be about the issue at hand, the content, and becomes about the relationship and self-defense, the process. Destructive conflict is characterized by the four horsemen of the apocalypse, a term coined by renowned relationship researcher Dr. John Gottman. Criticism, attacking the character of the partner rather than the specific behavior. Contempt, treating the other with disrespect, sarcasm, or mockery, the single greatest predictor of relationship dissolution. Defensiveness, self-protection in the form of righteous indignation or victimhood to ward off a perceived attack. Stonewalling, withdrawing from the interaction, shutting down and closing off to avoid physiological flooding. Psychologically, destructive conflict triggers the sympathetic nervous system. The body enters a fight, flight, or freeze state. Cortisol and adrenaline flood the system, limiting access to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, empathy, and impulse control. In this state, we literally cannot hear the other person. We are biologically primed only to survive the threat. The opportunity for growth, rupture, and repair. Conversely, conflict is the primary engine of intimacy and innovation. In the theory of rupture and repair, psychologists argue that the strength of a bond is not determined by the absence of conflict or rupture, but by the success of the resolution or repair. Constructive conflict forces us to clarify our values and boundaries. It exposes the hidden scripts we are living by and offers a chance to rewrite them. When two people navigate a disagreement and emerge feeling heard, trust is deepened significantly more than if the disagreement had never occurred. This is the broken bone analogy. A bone, once broken and healed properly, is often stronger at the point of the break. Growth-oriented conflict fosters resilience, teaching us that the relationship can survive difference and that our autonomy is respected even in dissent. Part 2. Constructive resolution strategies. Moving from destruction to construction requires a shift from winning the argument to winning the relationship. This requires specific, actionable strategies that override our primal defensive instincts. 1. The soft startup. Most arguments derail within the first 3 minutes. If a conversation begins with a harsh accusation, "You were so irresponsible with the budget," the listener's brain immediately detects a threat and raises a defensive shield. A soft startup involves bringing up an issue without blame. It states the situation neutrally. Harsh. "You are so irresponsible with the budget." Soft. "I was looking at our bank statement this morning and I got worried about the grocery spending." 2. Psychological decoupling, the timeout. In the heat of the moment, when the pulse rises above 100 beats per minute, psychological flooding occurs. At this point, productive resolution is biologically impossible. A constructive strategy is the agreed-upon pause. This is not stonewalling. It is a strategic retreat to preserve the relationship. The key is to communicate the return. I am feeling flooded right now and can't discuss this productively. I need 20 minutes to calm down, and then I want to finish this conversation. This maintains the safety of the connection while allowing the nervous system to reset. 3. Validation over agreement. One of the deepest human needs is to feel understood. In the U.S., where debate culture is strong, we often confuse understanding with agreeing. You do not need to agree with someone's reality to validate it. Validation sounds like, "I can see why you would feel hurt by that, given your history with this issue." This lowers the emotional temperature of the room instantly because the other person no longer has to fight to prove their feelings exist. Part 3. The I statement model, a deep dive. Perhaps the most ubiquitous yet misunderstood tool in conflict resolution is the I statement. Often dismissed as psychobabble, it is actually a sophisticated linguistic structure designed to bypass the listener's amygdala, threat detection center. The anatomy of a defensive reaction. When we use you statements, "you made me mad," "you were being lazy," we are essentially pointing a verbal finger. The receiver perceives this as an attack on their identity. To protect their ego, they must either counterattack or withdraw. You statements abdicate responsibility for one's own emotions and place the burden of causality on the other person. The formula for a perfect I statement. The I statement reclaims emotional ownership. It asserts that my reaction is about my internal world, triggered by an external event. The structure. I feel blank when blank, because blank. What I need is blank. Breakdown. I feel must be a feeling word, sad, anxious, frustrated, not a thought disguised as a feeling. For example, "I feel like you were being a jerk" is not an I statement, it is an accusation. When. This must be a camera-check description of the event. It should be non-debatable. When you didn't do the dishes is a fact. When you were being lazy is an opinion. Because. This explains the impact on you. Because I value a clean space to relax. What I need is a positive, actionable request. Case study. Destructive. You statement. "You are so selfish. You never text me when you're going to be late. You don't care about my time." Constructive. I statement. "I feel anxious and unimportant when I don't receive a text that you'll be late because I worry something has happened or I feel like my schedule isn't considered. I need you to shoot me a quick text if you're going to be more than 15 minutes late." Why it works. The I statement works because it is arguably irrefutable. You cannot debate how I feel. By focusing on my internal experience, I invite you to view the situation through my eyes, empathy, rather than forcing you to defend your actions, courtroom drama. It transforms the conflict from me versus you to us versus the problem. Part 4. How to manage your supports during an argument. Conflict doesn't happen in a vacuum. We are surrounded by internal and external supports, resources we draw upon to validate our stance or soothe our emotions. Mismanaging these supports can be catastrophic. 1. External supports, the danger of triangulation. In moments of high conflict, the impulse to call a friend, parent, or colleague to vent is strong. While seeking social support is healthy, triangulation is toxic. Triangulation occurs when we pull a third party into the dyad to validate our rightness and the other person's wrongness. Destructive. Calling your mother to tell her what your partner did, creating a permanent bias in your mother against your partner long after you have forgiven them. Constructive. Seeking a wise counsel who is neutral, a therapist or a mentor who will not just agree with you but will ask, "What was your role in this?" Guideline. Manage your external supports by venting feelings. "I feel so sad right now," rather than character assassinations. "He is such a narcissist." Protect the dignity of the person you are in conflict with, especially if you intend to stay in the relationship. 2. Internal supports, anchoring and evidence. Managing supports also refers to how we manage the evidence and history we bring into an argument. Kitchen sinking.
This is a destructive tactic where one partner brings up every past grievance to support their current point. You forgot the milk, just like you forgot our anniversary 3 years ago. This overwhelms the other person. Stay in current. Management involves restricting your evidence to the current situation. Deal with one issue at a time. 3. Environmental supports. Manage the physical space. Arguing in a car, where you are trapped, or the bedroom, which should be a sanctuary, can heighten stress. If possible, move the conflict to a neutral, supportive space, like the living room or even taking a walk. Ambulation lowers anxiety. Part 5. Mental health and self-regulation. Ultimately, our ability to navigate conflict is a direct reflection of our mental health and our capacity for self-regulation. Conflict is a high-stress state. If our baseline mental health is